All right, we're back in. Ba-boom. Um, yeah, so let us transition to group therapy, which is our weekly chance to check in with our characters, see how they feel emotionally about current events, and see how they might feel moving forward into this whole thing. Um, who wants to start?
Not me.
Oh, really? Oh,
Well, I'm not
really?
starting today.
Okay, well then I will start with Eigner. I just need a quick little refresher. What was the last thing that happened at the end of
Like,
last
I'll
episode?
go first.
Okay,
I
cool. All
remember
right.
what happened.
All right,
Everyone
that's
relied
good.
on someone else to remember what happened.
Hey,
Okay,
What
so
happened? I'm doing
um, we had the big fight in the tunnel, where Ellie ripped apart a warforge, which was fun, always fun. And then we went into the sewers after sending Halifax away with all of the
yeah.
uncharmed people. Um, so Ellie was just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, people are being annoying, but let's go. Um, uh, After having like some very stern words with both Eigner and Leah and Rue, I'll just sort of putting everyone in their place right now. But she is very much like, got to finally live in, got to find my brother. They're like her two focuses right now. And so we went through the sewers and we found Leoben bleeding out, essentially. And everyone's like questioning him. And eventually Ellie kind of taking pity on him because he was her friend, even though he did like bad things. Um, Essentially put her sword through his throat. And Mercy killed him. Um, she's probably not really processed that yet. I think it's just like she's just very sad about it, but she knows she's got to find her brother. She has this note now, so I suppose that's just what's on her mind now. But like that is sad. He was her friend, and she did just kill him. So it's probably not going to do a lot for her mental state right now. But yeah, that's what she is.
Word. I will go ahead and go with Eigner now that I've had the lovely refresher from Kerry. Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, it was a very confusing time for Eigner, who, back in the day when he actually could see just fine, he very much prided himself on his ability to be the leader, especially in combat situations, in tactical situations. He's always been very comfortable with having the vision of what it is that we need to do right now and how it is that we need to do it, how we need to delegate, who needs to do what, and to get the victory going on and accomplish what they need to do. He's always prided himself on his ability to do that, and when he did go blind, he felt like he could keep on being that way and keep on doing that thing. So I think he's had a many episodes long journey of still trying to live up to that role and having many instances where he's fallen short. And especially during this last couple of sessions, he has just been faced with the reality that he might not be the best person to make calls on like what it is that we need to do. Ellie has really stepped up into that role that Eigner traditionally occupied. And whether Eigner is like just now realizing it or trying to cope with the fact that he can't do what he used to be able to do or whatnot, he's kind of struggling with that. He's struggling with the reality that he might not be the best person to make tactical decisions. Probably because he can't see, and also now because he's so like emotionally compromised. Last session or the one before that, I can't quite remember. But he was about to do something incredibly reckless to save one of the townspeople of Twin Harbor, who, in all actuality, had not much of a chance of being saved. But Eigner was ready to die on that hill. He was totally ready to do it. Only reason why he didn't do it is because Ellie literally stopped him in his tracks and grabbed him and forced him to not do something incredibly stupid. Even though he had it all figured out in his mind. He's like, oh, I got this. I got this. Ellie took over and said, no, that's not a good idea. So, yeah, so he's kind of dealing with that. He's really not sure what to think about the whole Leovan situation, because Leovan explained his rationale for why he did what he did in planting the giant mega seed underneath Twin Harbor and growing the enormous fucked up Feywild tree that is now like wreaking havoc on that section of Twin Harbor. Obviously it's not a good thing overall for the denizens of Twin Harbor, but it is a great thing for Leovin's legacy, for the druids of the Undercircle. That's what Leovan said, is that he did that to build a home for his druids, for his people. So, I mean, they got a home, but is that worth all of the destruction? Is that worth all of the lives that have been lost in the process? Eigner's having a hard time figuring it all out. And of course, there's the lingering question of why and to what extent did Leovan work with Yrana to make that all happen? Why? And to what extent that the characters don't really know about. So, yeah, it's a complicated time. Eigner's trying to figure it out. He's trying to figure out why he can't be the leader like he always used to be. But for the moment, I guess he's cool with Ellie being the leader. I guess he's cool with it. Yeah. So,
Man,
that's how he's feeling.
I mean, on some of that, it's kind of like this is a war, and the world changes, and things have consequences. It's wild.
Consequences,
That's weird.
schmonsequences. Schmonsequences. No,
That's
alright.
a real word that people say.
It is now.
What?
Yeah. So, how about Leah?
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. I think a lot of the problems, the overarching problems for Leah, have been set aside for the moment because she found herself another mission. She really likes having, or I guess she doesn't really like, she just acquires missions where she wants to save people. And they're usually not related to the mission that anyone else is going on. But so now she has like, what, a dozen or so, if not more, dwarves and humans from Twin Harbor that now she has taken responsibility for because she suggested them to try and get them out from under the influence of the psychedelic tree sap. And she doesn't like the fact that Halifax is in charge of them right now because she doesn't trust Halifax, and really wishes that she could have gone with them, but she was convinced not to. But her, like, the Leovan thing was secondary for her, although when she discovered that, yes, Leovan had done this and no, he wasn't planning on undoing it, that changed things quite a lot for her, and she was very upset, and is still very upset, and doesn't really know what to do with that. But she should be getting used to really horrific circumstances being completely beyond her control by now. She really should be. It just never seems to. She never seems to be able to resign herself to that. In other news, she's still very irritated with her brother for being a dumbass. And she now for sure understands that she has been influencing Rue every time he goes into a rage. She finally realizes that that was her. And so that is a new thing for her to feel guilty about. So it's good that we're just continuing to add more guilt to every aspect of her life. It's a classic Leoden
problem.
Yeah, guilt is
And
a good
there
thing.
we are. What's that?
Guilt, guilt is a good thing. It's great. It's something we all need to feel.
Hmm.
You know, builds
Yeah,
character.
yeah. It definitely does something.
That's what they say. I guess.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, when she goes home and has another ritual, she's going to have a whole bunch more bandages on her arms.
Yeah, she needs to be like stopping that.
Yeah, I mean, someone could confront her about that, but like right currently, she has both of her arms are bandaged, which I think I mentioned like at the before they went on into the Feywild and then never mentioned again. But yeah,
You would think someone would step up and be a helper. All right. So, with that, a recap of last session, real quick, which we already kind of did, but is that the group went to Twin Harbors and had made their way through the city, finding people celebrating the Feast of Bacchana, essentially a Christmas-like once every 10 years celebration. And then getting into the city, they found a similar situation happening, although this seemed to be much more serious and a lot more people being controlled by magical sap. They made their way into the sewers, chased by a giant sap monster, and then after saving all those people, they were they did the whole splitting up thing, taking the people from Twin Harbors who were under the influence um, with Halifax back to Bronzewood Grove, and the rest of the group went and confronted Leovan and figured out why he believed he did the right thing. Because, of course he did. Why would having a giant tree appear out of the center of a city be a bad thing, ever? And I believe on that note, the group was going to return to Bronzewood Grove to regroup, patch up their wounds, and see what is to be done about the current state of Twin Harbors.
Yeah. Eigner's definitely trying to get his spells back. Definitely trying to do that.
Making
yeah,
your way
short rest.
making your way back into Bronzewood Grove, it's pretty easy knowing the tunnels that you have been taking. But finding your way there again, the place is it's looking a lot more like a refugee camp than anything else. Uh, you know, it's it's almost a contrast or a parallel to the camps outside of Twin Harbors. There are many different makeshift tents, um, people moving about in their dirty, torn clothes, a lot of serious or somber faces, and just a general air of, not anticipation, but just almost anxiety just floating through the air. What is your guys' first actions as you enter Bronzewood Grove again?
Leah will definitely first seek out all of the people. She definitely hasn't culted. Stop accusing her of culting them.
It's definitely not that. Definitely not. Definitely
It's not that. She's trying to save them. Anyway, she's going to seek them out to make sure that nothing untoward has happened, and skewer Halifax with a look of, you didn't do anything like to mess with their minds further, did you?
Word. Eigner is being very Eignery, as he tends to be, and extra grumbly, and he is going to storm right into his house and find whatever liquor that has not been drank by Alan yet, and yeah.
It's Alan's liquor.
Well, yeah, but Eigner helped him get it, so Eigner is entitled to some of it, if not
Alan
more than
only
some of it.
drinks to celebrate. He doesn't drink to alleviate his problems.
Hey, Eigner's celebrating, making it out of Twin Harbor alive. You know.
All right, if that is your justification.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
What about Ellie?
Have I read the note yet? Or are we saying
Oh.
I've not read it yet?
Thank you very much for that. You
Alright.
I had actually intended to start the episode with the note reading. I just forgot. Oh yeah, so you sit down to read the note. This blood-stained parchment. It's probably not the first time you've read it since taking it from Leovan. But you sit down in a quiet place and unroll it again, and it reads, "Dear Ellie, Ambassador Taladrius was a misguided fool. Despite that, he was a good man. He did not deserve. Um, he did not deserve to die like that. And now I know that I played a part in his assassination. The people who did that are the same that hold your brother. They want to shape the world, and not for the better. Find the Dragon Slayer. He will lead you to where you need to go. He owes me that much. Be ever vigilant, Ellie. Trust is a rare commodity. Your friend Zelor." Reason why you've read it so many times over is there's just a number of questions, none of which Zelor is forthcoming in giving answers to.
Since he
And
dead.
Zelor is dead, yes.
Yeah, so a little context for everyone out there who hasn't been watching as long as like Asa and I have been involved. So Ambassador Taladris was an ambassador from the Azamar kingdom, called Celestia, or something akin to that. He was visiting Twin Harbor, and then got assassinated, shot in the head from a clock tower, or some kind of tower,
Yep.
a la, I don't know, whatever other, like, similar to how other political figures have been assassinated throughout history. Ambassador Taladris got done in like that. The party found out that it was a couple of dwarves who were behind it, and they hadn't found out a lot of other information about who those people were, what their motivations were in killing the ambassador, but it was a huge political shakeup and really destabilized the whole situation.
And the general assumption made is it was an attack from the Dwarven Empire against the Free Kingdoms. And it is the leading event that has led to, the
current
Battle
conflict.
of Twin Harbors.
Mhm.
And on top of that, Zelor was a Dwarven rogue who traveled with Ellie for a little while. And one of the things that they did while in the Dwarven Kingdoms was they were on a diplomatic expedition with Taladris, and they were sort of his bodyguards. And Taladris was working to diffuse tensions between the Free Kingdoms and the Dwarven Empire. And Zelor had made it quite clear that he felt Taladris was foolish. He didn't understand the way that the Dwarven Empire was structured, the way people thought, and that his attempts to make these sort of treaties were going to fall flat because he just didn't. It's essentially someone who believes firmly in capitalism walking into a communist nation and saying this is a better way to live. He just did not have enough of an understanding of the political surroundings. Yep. So Zelor had his opinions, but yeah, that should cap everyone with all that.
Okay, so I think there's definite tension between her and pretty much everybody else in the party now, but not the same as there was before. Not the like Ellie's being unreasonably angry for like being ridiculous. Now it's like Ellie's like all of these people are acting like they're out of their minds. I can't deal with this right now. So I think she'll probably be like in her workshop, where there's probably other like trail guards making warforge, but just going and checking up on that and seeing what's going on.
All right. As for Leah didn't giving Halifax the look or the commented on which it was. But yeah, Halifax finds her pretty quickly and says, "You should be pleased to know that everyone has found a place to bed down, and they are They are coming out of their um, affliction, and they seem to be confused more than anything.
So they're no longer affected by the sap?
It appears that way for the most part. Um, Frankly, they look as though they'll be suffering from one of Eigner's mighty hangovers for quite some time. A more of a magical equivalent to. Well, you get the story. You get the idea.
Hmm. Have they said anything more about me? Do I need to try and figure out how to remove my influence?
I think it might be too early to tell. Despite a scientist say that your presence can't be making anything better.
Hmm. Well, thank you. And then she'll um, find somewhere else to be.
All right.
Actually, is Senna still around?
That is a question I did not intend an answer for.
I mean, I don't see any reason why she would have left immediately. I mean, it was like her and Laven were they came in together, but ultimately they kind of have their own things that they're trying to do. So just because Laven stepped out and did his thing doesn't necessarily mean that Senna's like, well, I got to go be with Laven or do anything like that. Like she's kind of on her own path.
Yeah, I would say Senna is there. Senna has set up uh, her own tent. She travels with her own kind of. She travels a lot, so she's got her own camping setup. She set up her little tent in an outskirted area in Bronzewood Grove that gives the intention that she plans to stay for at least a few days, if not longer. As you make your way in that direction, you notice that there are a handful of rough-looking people who um, bear the signs of living comfortably in nature. Also, animal activity in this area is quite a bit more common than it's been in the groves as of late. Senna is sitting at a fire she's made, having a discussion with an elven lady who has no legs from the knees down.
Oh, is it Breedis?
It is Breedis, yes.
Definitely.
I assumed that Ellie made her some mechanical legs.
I
No?
don't know that.
Well, get
I
on
don't
Looking
that.
around.
Not
I
yet.
don't think I've met her anyway.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think they've had a lot of reason to interact.
Ellie's got the parts for it now, though.
It's true.
well, maybe eventually. Um, okay. Leah will come in and nod to this strange woman and say, "Is this a good time for me to borrow you for a moment, Senna?"
Senna looks at Breedis and says, I think that will conclude our conversations for today. Of course, have a seat.
I don't intend to stay long. I used my influence on a large number of people today, and I'm a little concerned that the effects might linger. And I'm afraid to go and assess the situation for myself in case it exacerbates things. But I know that you've helped me gain this ability to remove influence individually. Is there some way that I can remove my influence on a larger scale if necessary?
Just a moment. Yeah.
Is there a spell
I'll
called
be
Mass
back
Remove
in just a
Curse?
minute.
I mean, that'd be.
And I won't know the answer
Won't know the
forever.
answer. Figures. It figures. Um, I mean, that would be sick. If there is not a spell like that already, we could totally homebrew one. That would be dope.
I mean,
That would be dope.
I'm assuming there is not, and that kind of plays into like Leah's thing,
Predicament. Mm-hmm.
or Leah's the tragedy that is Leah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that might be a cool thing to have figured out, like as like an ultimate, like what her ultimate good is to figure out how to reverse all of the damage that she's done.
For sure. For
But
sure.
you know,
Yeah. It's
you may never get that because sometimes things don't work out like that.
very true, very true. But I think it's a good theme for Leah's whole development where it's like it's so much easier to break things than it is to fix things. You know what I mean? And then she's like unintentionally breaking a bunch of stuff and then realizing like I want to fix it, but it's so much harder to fix it than it is to break it.
Yeah, and even though she's like paranoid now about the breaking part because she knows that there's so much she can't fix,
Mm-hmm.
she also is equally paranoid about like not doing anything, and
Mm-hmm.
um, she really hates to see people get hurt or controlled.
Sorry, I had an unexpected person show up at the house. So,
Huh.
Word.
all right. So going back to what you just asked, Senna, if there's a way for you to remove your influence from all of these people. And as you're talking so openly about your influence, she kind of is giving you a very hard stare, and her eyes twitch towards Breedis. And Breedis, kind of catching the drift that this is not a conversation she's supposed to be listening in on. She gives a whistle, and then she turns into a rat, and Owl swoops down and grasps her in its claws, and then swoops back up into the trees. As a rat, she is also missing her back legs. So then, being sure that the surrounding is a little more clear, Senna says in a low voice, "You, dear, can do nothing to alleviate your influence on these people. And that is why I am here. I will take a look at them and make sure that their minds will return to their proper state, as I have done for you many times before. All I can encourage you, like I have in the past, is to be conscientious of your use of your powers. You can't afford to have incidents like before."
Also, I'll run out of arm space. She doesn't actually say
Yeah.
that.
Way to make Leah feel even more bad about the situation.
I mean,
Senna-
Senna's kind of a dick.
Yeah, a
Senna
little bit.
looks down at your arms and gives a little twitch of a smile. "Good. I see you are practicing the methods we put in place."
I can't ever afford to forget.
"This is true. How fares your brother and his peculiar situation?"
Which one?
That is a very good answer. The ticks dilemma.
It seems to be under control, but I don't trust that, and I don't know how to help him. I'm not sure I can.
Yes. I'm not sure any of us can. He made a very foolish choice. The best we can do is watch and hope that he has the fortitude to keep that beast at bay.
Thank you.
There's no reason to thank me. I have not given you good news.
No, but you always give me the truth, and I need that.
Yes. Well, if you need anything else, I am here. I am helping to reintegrate the druids. They seem to be very willing to help those who were afflicted by the devastation of the city. Though there are fewer in number now than there were before, and I've noticed many flocks of birds headed towards the harbors.
Some of them may be choosing to live in the tree that Laven brought for them, which I don't trust either. But it appears that there's no way for the tree to be removed now that Laven is dead.
She kind of brushes it off with a wave of her hand. It is neither here nor there. It is the choice of a man. Not for us to embark or to get involved with.
With all due respect, I do intend to talk to the others about trying to facilitate a more mass evacuation of the city in the area that the tree is in, because it is hurting people actively. And this small number that I brought back with me using methods that I don't like, it is only going to be a very small part of that situation. I don't feel like it's a situation out of my hands. I feel like it is a situation that all of us are partially responsible for, including you, and needs to be dealt with.
That is wise. There are many who will be harmed by this that were not intended to be touched at all.
So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go see who I can talk to. And then I have a ritual to perform.
Her bangles jangle as she gestures, to take your leave. And then she stands up and places a pot of water over the fire and lets it begin to steam. Eigner, how drunk have you gotten by now?
I mean, not like smashed or anything, but definitely like pretty tipsy. Like,
Yeah.
he started off like just like doing two shots in quick succession, and then he talked to Alan for a while, and the content of his conversation with Alan was just pretty like depressing, to be honest. He was just telling Alan like how bad it is in the city, and he, something along the lines of, I was hoping that one day we'd just be able to be back in the cornerstone, having a pint and waiting for this whole thing to blow over. And, looks like that's not really a possibility anymore. It's wrecked, Alan. It's gone. Like, everything's gone. There's that big goddamned tree right in the middle of everything. It's fucking everything up. So, you know what? It's okay. There's a silver lining in this whole situation. This place right here, Bronzewood Grove, it's gonna be like the new Twin Harbor. It's gonna be way cooler, way better, way more stuff, way more, I don't know, beer. But I mean, it's gonna get there. You know what I mean? We just got to keep growing it. Just keep inviting people to come and build a way cooler city here instead of over there, because it's just fucked over there. And he's just going to keep on drinking and rambling to Alan, and then at some point, I'm kind of assuming that Rue is maybe mingling or around, talking to Alan, talking to Eigner. And then at this one point, Eigner turns to Rue and says, Rue, I need your assistance. Look, we never got that bacon earlier like I was trying to get earlier, and we're not going to have a thriving city unless we stock up with some bacon. So, Rue, I need your assistance. Let's go hunting, okay? Let's do it. I'm fucking ready. And then he grabs the bottle of rum to carry with him on the hunt.
Before you get too far into the Rue part, so a quick backtrack.
Oh, sure.
Alan is sitting and listening while Rue is preparing a mass meal, and he says, "Well, that's the way to view it. I mean, this war, these terrible things happening in Twin Harbors. Eventually, Eigner, It will all end. All things eventually come to an end.
Well,
And-
sure, but Twin Harbor's fucked. There's no coming back.
Right, when they do, it's great that you have already thought of what to do next, because every ending opens up the possibility for a new beginning, and some things might be gone, but not all is lost. But I'll tell you this: if you keep drinking the liquor like you do, there won't be a new tavern.
If you had, and at that point, he pours himself another shot, and then just gets this kind of like tipsy, side to side, like sassiness going on, and then he's like, "Alan, if you haven't noticed while you've been in here, I have a still right behind me. So, I mean, if you just get started on that, I mean, the liquor will be flowing. Don't worry about that part. You just need to get started like right now." And
Like this very moment.
I mean, like, as soon as I take Rue over here on a little hunt and whatnot, you can get started on that. We'll bring the bacon. You start doing, that kind of thing. It's gonna be, it's gonna be fine. He's like sloshing rum all over the place at this point. It's gonna be fine. We just need to band together. Everyone do their part, work on this thing, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
I am glad to see this rise in optimism in you. And he gives Eigner a pat on the arm. You're a good man. You do your best.
Yeah.
Remember that.
So they tell me.
Rue, somewhere in that conversation, you'd given Rue the call to jerky, and so he has put aside the things he has been cooking and has put on a sack to carry the meat in, and has a few knives that he's kind of looking at, just trying to figure out which is meant for field dressing an animal, and says at the end of it, laden down with more than he needs. Of course, you don't see this, but you do hear all the tinkering and the things that he's meddling with. He says, "I am ready to go, Eigner."
Excellent. At this point, Eigner, in an attempt to be more stealthy, has taken off the heavier pieces of his armor. So he's pretty much just going out there in his, just regular old clothes. Very, very dirty and rumpled at this point. He looks very homely, let's say. And he's just got Talon's blade in his right hand, bottle of rum in the other hand, and he kicks open his front door and walks out, and he's like, "To the hunt! To the hunt, dear Rue!"
Rue picks up a crossbow, and Alan, stops him, gives him a look. And Rue says, "Don't worry, I won't let him take it. He'll shoot his eye out."
Shoot his eye out.
And then Eigner just shouts over his shoulder in this bitter kind of way, "Yeah, it'd be a fucking improvement, wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it be?"
Well, he's in rare form.
Yeah,
this is only going to go
yeah.
well.
This is gonna go great.
He was in a good
Can I
mood.
say that Leah? What's that?
He was in a pretty good mood for a while there.
Mm-hmm. Can I say that Leah is emerging from her conversation with Senna and just I was about to talk to him. He's just there. He goes.
He's storming off.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
All right.
we'll be back soon.
Yeah. Eridu is he's sitting at the fire where someone had deposited him at some point, and just seems lost in any sense of anything, just trying to listen to the woods. But more than anything, he just kind of seems unable to engage in much. Hold on a second.
Ace is popular. He's
The
so
kids are being super loud.
word. Yeah.
So if you want to have other conversations and things happen for a minute, I have to leave and then come back. But I do want to have a conversation with Eridu and then another one with Emily. So I'll be back shortly.
So what is Ellie doing? She's in her workshop, just kind of tinkering away.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, I know. It's fine. I think, yeah, so she's in a workshop. She's sort of musing over what was in the note. So she's been working on like a side sort of secret project again. So she'll be sort of like tinkering with that. But I'm thinking that she might be making another one of those. So she makes like remembrance like bands. I don't know how you describe them, but basically it's like those pieces of fabric that you tie around your arm in like the old days. It was like a black piece of fabric. It's like someone's died kind of thing. And she currently has in fact it is she made one for Theala, but I don't think she has one of those because like she didn't know her. But she has one for Zella, and she had another one. I can't remember who it was. Was it her mentor? Maybe it was her mentor.
I believe it was for her mentor, yeah.
Okay. I'm doing a good job.
Now she's making one for Leia.
Leia one, yeah. I think so. And I think it'll I wonder if like, so when you touch it, because usually when you touch it something happens. So I'm thinking like maybe like part of me would say like soft like rat noises, but that's not very nice. But if it's just
Squeak,
like a
squeak.
Yeah, like a sniffling or like a like branches kind of like just like wood noises. I don't know.
Alright. As you're fiddling with stuff, the door to your workshop creaks open, and there's a voice behind you. Oh, this is a cool place. Look at all these things you got everywhere.
Is that Rory?
It is Rory.
I kind of like roll my eyes and then turn around and be like, "Don't touch anything."
Oh, well, okay then. And then he flashes a look at your wrist, and then looks up at your face and says, "So, you lost someone new, huh?"
Yeah. Seems to keep happening.
Yeah. He pulls up his sleeve, and at this point, the strands that are on his arms, they're so thin, but there's at least 100, and just varying different colors, just made up of thin bits of string. Says, yeah, it's the way of war, and that's the way of life.
I'm gonna smile at him and then I'm gonna like push the chair next to me, like out for him to sit on.
He comes
A
and
little less like mean.
takes his seat and says, I don't see many of you that practice that method. Where'd you learn it?
Well, I was taught it by my old mentor, and I'm gonna point to the band that's my mentor's band. I don't know. Maybe you knew him. I don't know. He knew a lot of people. He was called Archimedes.
Oh, I can't say I know any Archimedes. Archimedes. But you meet a lot of people as a soldier. Some stick, some don't.
Well, he taught me most of what he knew, and then I taught myself the rest. I built Rue.
Oh. Yeah. I just assumed he was one of ours.
Well, he was originally.
He definitely is got something about him that's different than the ones we use. Like he's a bit like a child. The others are just more like walking suits of armor.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, he has very unexpected connection to our friend Eridu, who I sort of built Rue in the image of, essentially. It's a long story. But then it seems they have like a weird bond. I don't really know. I need to do some more research.
I can't say I know anything about that. There's a strange old thing they was trying to do early on in the Warforged development. It was trying to attach the souls of the dead to some stones, a way of powering the things. It didn't go as well as they would have liked, but that's about the closest I could think of anything like that.
Huh. Who was doing that?
Well, the science departments, the engineers and the like.
Where is this department?
I don't right know. They probably do a bit of moving. I just
Is it?
hear rumor through rank and file,
Okay. I'd like to see the science department.
Well, I mean, can't imagine they'd be on this side of the river at all. Maybe some of their toys, but not them. They're way too precious to put in the line of fire. They was making these devices. You can pull a trigger and then you shoot out a little slug of metal. That was an interesting one. Pretty devastating, but lots of room for failure. Saw plenty of them blow up in a soldier's arms.
Do you? And they were building them at the science place too.
Well, those made it onto the field. They, at least a couple of them did. Like I said, the soldiers didn't like using them. There was a lot of backfire, a lot of getting hurt.
Would Ellie was Ellie there for the assassination of Taladris? Was that okay? It was just like you guys were with Taladris before.
Yeah, she personally met him and worked with him. Yeah.
But wasn't there for the actual thing. I'm just wondering if Ellie would have made the connection of like, oh, those weird devices that they used to kill the ambassador. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, no idea where she was at during that period of history. So wherever she wanted to be, really. If for some reason she had reason to be in Twin Harbors at the time, maybe, but possibly not.
But that by that point, guns, my understanding was that guns were starting to be a little more widespread because more people were using them and Theala started using them and they kind of have become more of a thing.
Yeah, since the assassination, what I had intended was that like the assassination was the first time that anyone saw one of those being used. Like before that, it was just like this secret weapons project being worked on by certain dwarves.
Mm-hmm. And as you'll notice, the two things I've brought up, both firearms and Warforged, are things that are being seen more regularly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
what the science place has that isn't. I want to go.
Yeah.
Exactly. What are they working on now?
Okay, so I knew I should have written down what do you know it said. Okay.
Do you want me to
read it again? Read it again.
Yeah, please. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ambassador Taladris was a misguided fool. Despite that, he was a good man. He didn't deserve to die like that. And I know that I played a part in his assassination. The people who did that are the same who hold your brother. They want to shape the world, but not for the better. Find the Dragon Slayer. He will lead you to where you need to go. He owes me that. Be ever vigilant, Ellie. Trust is a rare commodity.
Okay. I'm gonna. So, do I know that that's what killed? Would Ellie be able to put this together now that Zella's that Rory's talking about the same thing?
Yeah, it's common enough knowledge.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably would have heard a story about it. It was a shocking enough incident.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna ask him. Oh, have you ever heard of, or do you know who a dragon slayer is?
Oh, of course. Anyone on the front lines and in any sort of training would know who he is. That's, old Captain Dorun. He was, as legend goes, up on an island north and, fought himself a white dragon. Took it down barehanded. At least that's how the story goes.
Okay, is that is that where he is now?
Oh, no. He's stationed at, Grodmole Fort. Up the river a bit. On our side, of course.
Oh, so close.
Hey, only a couple days walk, I'm sure. Faster on horseback.
Convenient. uh, okay. Do you know him? Like, would you be able to, like, if you came with me to him? I need to see him, basically.
I mean, we met on a quick occasion during the deployment down here, but can't right think he'd remember me. I'm just a frontline grunt. Man like that, he don't keep the names and faces of the men under his command. At least not that far down.
Okay. Okay. Then I know where I need to go next.
I could rightly show you the way. Wouldn't mind, being in his greatness again.
Yeah. I am sure we would enjoy the company. Not that I know who's going to come with, but I mean, they've probably got, other towns to save.
Oh, I mean, your friends all got their own ambitions and plans, I'm sure. If it's just the two of us, that'd be fine. I mean, you'll bring
Okay.
the bear thing too, right?
The bear thing?
Fine.
Mechanical one. Looks
Oh,
like an
right,
owl,
sorry.
looks like a bear.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he comes everywhere with me. That's that old thing that I forgot existed.
Yeah.
I
He's
feel like I'm
sleeping in the
visibly
corner.
in the room. Yeah, like in his little socks. I never mention anymore, but she does put socks on and off every time they go in. Like,
Really hope she has knitting as like her tool proficiency.
Yeah, well, she can like make tools, so she probably makes her own mechanical knitting needles. Okay. Yeah, great. Well, I think was our plan to like rest up. I think we might
Yep.
rest a little bit. But
Yeah.
maybe like in the morning, I'll come and find you, and we can go.
Good. I could use a little more sleep. And come down from the city there. It's hell of a wallop. Good thing drinking something we do pretty regularly.
I'll put my hand on his shoulder and just say, "Thank you. This information and your help is invaluable." Is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do like to help. And with that, he turns and walks out of the room. Still kind of marveling at the different things as he walks by.
Can Eigner do the rest of the hunt really quick with Rue?
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right. So, he's definitely trying to find a boar. Definitely trying to get some bacon, specifically some big fucking bacon haul is what he's trying to get. I rolled a survival check to track a boar, and I imagine since Rue's helping, does that give advantage?
Yes, he is trained in survival, so he'd
Cool.
be happy to help you out.
So that 13 plus my 8 would give me 21 to find a boar.
Yeah. So, I mean, Rue is not the quietest of types, but he is very knowledgeable about the woods and more than you had expected, seems to know how to pick out boar tracks. And between your ability to smell and hear it, and his ability to point out the tracks and the places where the grass has been bended and torn from them rooting around, you guys are able to track a boar trail and a nesting ground
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. So once the boar has been sighted by my companion there, essentially what Eigner's going to do is he's going to use a combination of a spell and a class feature. He's going to cast Mirror Image to summon 3 illusionary duplicates of himself, and then he's going to use those 3 duplicates to like flush the boar out in his direction, and then Eigner is going to use his new Channel Divinity feature to turn himself invisible.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, with that combination of things, the illusionary ones are chasing the boar in Eigner's direction, but Eigner's invisible. And then, you can say this works or doesn't work or whatever, but essentially, Rue's the only other one out there, and Rue can react in whatever way he wants, but Eigner puts down the rum. He like he's charging forward with Talon's blade in hand, and as he's approaching the boar, he just gets overtaken by this feeling of just rage and this huge bundle of emotions that he has no idea how to process. He ends up dropping Talon's blade on his way there, and invisible, he collides with the boar and just starts wrestling it. And then, he's only invisible for a short amount of time, so he becomes visible again, locked into this struggle with the boar while the boar is squealing and whining, and Agner's just going, ah, just fucking freaking out. So I'm just like setting up the scene, and I'm trying to imagine what's going on in Rue's head as he just sees like Eigner having this complete mental emotional breakdown while he's wrestling with a boar. And yeah, and Eigner just, he'll like take whatever amount of damage that he needs to take in the process, but he's going to just kill this boar with his bare fucking hands and screaming and crying like in the midst of the whole process. So that's what the boar hunt is going like.
Rue has not remained the most stealthy in all of this, but the overall the overall lack of stealth on Rue's part has only worked to your favor to funnel the boar closer to where you're at. And as you go through this tussle, Rue just watches. And when you're all done, he looks down at you and says, "How strange. You did not scream fuck first."
Was I supposed to?
"Well, I normally do."
I shouldn't have taught you that word. Ellie's gonna yell at me eventually for teaching you bad language. I know she's gonna yell at me. She's gonna yell at me for something.
You hear the jingle of something, and Rue says, "Well, I guess many of these tools will no longer be efficient. It seems that you have already dressed this animal in a very
Really?
peculiar way."
Look, we can do the dressing back at back at the fire. Yeah, let's just get back, okay?
"I will inform you that that is not the most effective way. You have actually damaged much of the meat."
At least there's some left. And I'm tired now. We're not gonna hunt another boar. Maybe we can go on another hunt another time. Look, let's just get back, okay? All right, let's do it. And at that,
Um,
Eigner goes and picks up Talon's blade again, sheathes it. He picks up the rum in his left hand, and he's just grabbing one of the hooves. Do
Yep.
boars have hooves?
Yeah.
Right. He just picks up one of the hooves, and he's dragging the corpse behind him. Eigner is just covered in blood. His own blood, the boar's blood. He just looks like an absolute fucking mess. And he's just dragging this boar's corpse behind him, swigging the fucking rum.
as you as you are walking, uh, Roos just kind of You hear the gears of him kind of rear, and then you hear his head turn towards you, and he says, "It occurs to me. Are you in distress?
Yeah, that's one way of saying it.
Would you care to discuss it?"
I mean, sure. What the hell else are we gonna do? Talk
Well,
about the weather? Nah, that sounds boring.
first off, boars, they they have like toes, but they're very they're shaped similar to hooves. It's quite strange.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm just grabbing the leg, then
That's
whatever it
what
is.
Rue is informing you.
Oh, okay. Well,
Um,
that's very informative, Ruth. Thank you.
would you like to discuss why it is that you continue to disagree with Ellie?
Ella, I mean, it's not that I'm disagreeing with her. It's just that we don't have the same idea of what would be the best thing to do. That's it's not a disagreement, right? Okay, look. Maybe I just feel a little lost in this whole thing. I used to be the guy that had it all figured out. And even after I went blind, I still was convinced that I had it all figured out and I had the best ideas of what to do and how to do it. Um, but it just doesn't seem to me like that's the case anymore. I. Glug, glug, glug. Rue, the thing is that I've really started to question how much am I in control? How much of what I do is Eigner Bosch, the tactician, making the calls and figuring it all out? How much of that is really me? How much of that is the fucking bottle talking? How much of that is this shadowy goddess that is speaking through me without me realizing it? I just feel like I don't even fucking know who I am anymore.
Rue doesn't say anything, just listens. And finally, when the silence sort of settles amongst between the two of you for a moment, he says, "I have come to learn there are things that affect most of you squishy brains, called emotions. I have felt them on occasions,
You could
and
say
when I
that
feel them,
again.
I have felt them on occasions. And when I feel them, they become too much. And then I shout the words that you have taught me. And when I come out of these emotions, sometimes I am covered in blood. Sometimes the magic around me has been shattered like the glass. And sometimes I feel an emotion that does not come from outside.
Hmm.
I am feeling what is called fear. What happens when those emotions that I know are outside of me, they do not come from within? What happens when they lead me to attack those that I call dear friends?
I think you're gonna have to ask Ellie about that.
I am asking myself, but I'm also attempting to connect with you in shared experience. We both feel these feelings that we do not know if they are inside or outside of us, but feel like they are on the outside, like they are determined by another, and we fear what that means for us.
I I see what I see what you're saying. I mean, it's obviously different situations. I mean, I don't think you are in communion with any kind of divine being necessarily. But yeah, it's very much the same, and I wish I had a better answer for you. I really wish I did. If I did have a better answer for you, then I wouldn't be covered in boar blood and my own blood, and drinking way too much again. Um, I just wish I had better answers.
When I was built with no sense of taste. The ability to consume food is not something that I will ever know, but I would like to. And because I would like to, I have decided to spend my time around someone who makes that his entire life.
Yeah, Alan's great.
I know that I cannot eat, and yet I choose to be around food because it makes me feel good. You know that when you drink, you feel these emotions that make you want to tear a boar to pieces in the most inefficient way of dressing it that I have ever seen.
Look, they're still salvaging this boar. Don't argue with me about that.
And and yet you continue to make the choice to drink.
Yeah, it's a bad habit. I mean, don't. What are you going to start shaming me now? Okay, look, I didn't mean it like that. Your point is well taken. Um, I wish I could start making some better choices, but it seems like the world has just got us over a barrel. It's got me over a barrel, and sometimes I just don't know how to cope.
Hmm. Then maybe you don't.
Okay, sweet.
Maybe you just go along and do it anyway. That is what I do. I don't understand most of what happens around me.
Well, you understand how to be a good hunting partner, and guess I would say a good friend.
I would say a dear friend.
Yeah.
Then he stops and he looks and points and says, "What is that?"
You tell me. But
It
Eigner will
is
train his ears in the direction of whatever.
it is a tall, four-legged mammal with a small tail and long legs and a medium-length neck. Its body is slender, kind of like a horse but smaller, and it has large things coming off of its head that look to be made of bone.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it sounds like a deer. It sounds like a bit. Definitely a buck too. I mean, how many points are on the antlers? How big are we talking here? Because I mean, we got the bacon. We could also use some venison actually.
he counts. I see two on each horn.
Should we? Shouldn't we? I don't know. You want to try giving that crossbow a shot there?
You say that is a deer?
Yeah, but not like a deer friend. It's look, it's spelled differently. I don't. No, that deer is not our friend at the moment because I also want venison.
He shoulders his crossbow and says, "All right, it is not our friend." And you hear the
Not our
twang,
friend.
and then a moment later, a clump of something falls, or clatter something falls to the ground.
All right, Rue. I'm proud of you.
And
Proud of you.
and that is that's how you get Rue to kill a dear friend.
No, the deer is not our friend. The deer is not our friend. All right, so then I will task Rue with dragging the deer's corpse, and I will drag the very mangled boar's corpse, and the two of us will make quite a scene coming back up the hill to Bronzewood Grove, where we're going to start dressing the meat in front of the fire pit outside of Eigner's house.
All right. Um, and as you do that, Leah, I believe you wanted to speak with Eridu, who's staring in the direction of heat that he feels radiating from a fire.
Yes. I mean, she doesn't really know what to do about his situation at all. Because he left the sticks in Twin Harbor, and this
Sure
is
did.
very stupid. It's the stupidest reason for him to be blind ever. Um, but so, I don't know. She's probably just gonna sit down next to him and say, "I can't believe you did this."
What? Did what?
Made yourself blind for, and we can't even fix it. I don't think. I don't know. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
maybe we can ask.
It's a very easy fix. We just go back to Twin Harbors and get my weapon back.
Well, we should have done that while we were still there.
Well, that would have been stupid. The whole reason to do that was to create a diversion so that we could get away from the creatures. To go and get the sticks would have been to run right into their arms.
Well, when we go back into the town to get the sticks, won't we be running right back into their arms again?
Well, it will be less dangerous because we'll be saving the lives of the people already there, won't we?
I mean, I hope we go back to do that. I think I don't know who to talk to about that. Everyone seems to be scattered. Um, I suppose Emily has the best would be the best person to talk to. My
Yes.
understanding is that she's something of a leader.
Well, this is true, and this camp is much more of the rebellion that she should have had.
Hmm.
I I think this being blind for as long as it lasts is a good thing. It is allowing me to focus a lot of my attention on ticks. I'm not distracted by what I see.
It just doesn't. I don't like feeling worried if we have to go do things in the world and you're not at full capacity. It doesn't seem safe.
No, it is not. I plan to stay here for as long as I am blind. It seems the most sensible thing to do. To go out of my way to try to protect you in my current state is only going to put us all in danger.
But if I go into the city to try to help people, I don't know. I told myself I wasn't going to leave your side again because I only had 5 days with you before, and then I thought I lost you. It seems like I'm not prepared to give up any more days. And also, you're really messed up.
I have forced myself into the Feywild with a bomb and consumed the essence of a Feylord and made a choice that got me stuck blind. I don't seem to be making wise decisions when it comes to my own safety. I believe staying
I
here,
know.
where there are defenses, where Senna is around to keep an eye on me, these are probably the safest places that I could be.
Fine. Well, I'll stay here as much as I can. I'm gonna go find Emily.
All right. I will sit here and feel the warmth of the fire and
Kind of hate you
try
right now.
to. I mean, I love you too.
Yeah, I mean, she's literally like grabbing him in a hug and saying, "I hate you so much," and then just like,
That's cute.
Yeah. She's got a good way of breaking him out of his "I'm going to give a long-winded speech for the next 20 minutes."
I mean, if he does that, she'll probably just stand there and listen, and be like, "Ah, yes, I remember this side of Eridu."
He was already beginning it, and she just stopped it.
She's got things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would flip him off, but he can't even see it. So
He could feel it. He could feel it deep inside. She can send the emotions of that finger.
oh, I mean, he's already getting all those emotions. It's just like, I love you, but you are the worst.
I feel you giving me the finger. I feel it. Uh,
Yeah, so she's gonna go off and talk to Emily, but we don't necessarily have to do that part on screen.
and I'm assuming it has a lot to do with the expedition into Twin Harbors and the way to to save lives and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. To just give her the information that they encountered while they were there and find out from her what she thinks should be done, and try to like coordinate something.
Yeah.
Because
So
Leah doesn't know about Ellie's situation at all.
there is.
I mean, she knows about the brother thing from before, but currently she doesn't realize there's more.
There's a tent put up not far from Eigner's his actual house that looks really similar to a military command tent. And she finds Emily standing over a match stretched over a large stump of wood, a map. Did I say match?
You
You
did
did.
say that. Yeah.
And she's standing over there looking at it. And standing next to her, standing on a smaller log next to her, able to see onto the map as well, is a gnome woman, or a halfling woman that you've met before, named
Lauren?
Lauren, yeah. I was trying to get away from saying Leah. And and there is another halfling and a green man that you've never seen before, to the best of my knowledge, who are all in deep conversations with Emily.
Really now?
A green man?
Yes.
Like an on?
Similar to an on.
Oh, no, Leah has definitely not met them, but she has heard about them, so yeah, she'll approach and say, is this a bad time? Hi, hello, Lauren.
Lauren beams up at you, and Emily gives you her stern look and says, No, not a bad time at all. In fact, you actually might have information and pieces of a puzzle that we need now, since you have actually been in the city. And looking at the map, it is a crude mapping of Twin Harbors with a large, just red glob of something pasted onto the island of the tree grew from. Getting a better
going to
look.
introduce me?
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, getting a better look. The actual the inside of this red glob is actually glowing that electric greenish color of the sap from the tree, but the redness seems to be like a crystal encasement that it's in. Yes, this is Antenois, and this is Akram.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Alton.
Alton Brightman?
Alton Bright
Alton
Moon.
Brightman. Yeah.
You almost had it.
Almost had it. Yeah. And they have recently come after the devastation in Twin Harbors to offer their assistance in saving what's left of the city.
Good. Um, and then Leah will tell them basically what she saw and what has happened, and bring up the extra dwarves and humans and people that they brought back from the city and what had happened with them during the Bakan celebration. And talk about Leovan and how his intent was to drive people out, but currently instead of driving people out, it's just killing them. And that the tree is not going to go away. It may even grow, and probably the best option is to just form a new city. But we have to get people out first.
Emily looks at On and then looks at you, and she just shakes her head and says, I had this grand ambition of this revolution in Akram's name. And overthrowing Orn and Garth was all part of that. Never did I think I'd be helping to build a town and house refugees from a disaster in my hometown. But here we are.
I can't remember if Leah told Emily about the settlement that she and Ellie found previously.
No, but those people, yeah, that's right. They
But Lauren
refused.
might have told her.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could convince them. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Lauren would have filled her in on a lot of that, just because it makes sense. Did you want to bring more of that up in this conversation?
Oh yeah, I mean, Leah might just kind of mention it as a side thing of there are actually my understanding is there are quite a number of people in the area that have already fled the city and need places to stay. There is a settlement near us in the forest that they seem to be fairly stable right now, but it might be a good idea to attempt to join forces and share resources.
That would be a good idea. Thinking about the future is important. First, we need to handle the issue with the harbors. I don't know how much relief the free cities are giving.
Well, they're attempting to besiege the city, but I don't think that's going to be very safe.
No. And I can't imagine taking back Twin Harbors now is going to be a major priority any longer.
It's very hard to say.
Yeah. My concern, and this is why Lauren is here, is that they will make the choice to just abandon the city entirely and go along with defending the shore, the coasts, or not coasts, but the riverfront. But Lauren said that she will take the chances to reach out to the Trail Guard and ensure that they are doing their duty. Alton and On seem to know how to get into the city. They are happy to lead an expedition of people into the city to bring out as many as they can.
Good. She's the way that she looks at On and Alton is pretty chilly because she remembers the conversation with Lauren.
Yeah.
She's definitely debating in her head whether she should say anything about that, but she doesn't want to derail the conversation. She'll just say, I would like to offer my services in helping people get out who are potentially already influenced by the magical, the sap that's coming from the tree. It does seem to be having a mind control effect on the people. And at least my method gets people out of there, although I don't much like it.
Is it safe?
I don't know. It may be safer than what's already happening to them. It may. You might have to ask Senna. She said that she would look at the people that I already brought out and see.
I will reserve my judgment until Senna has made her evaluation, and then decide if using your talents will be the best use. If that sounds reasonable.
I understand.
The fact is, I just don't know what you are offering. And
I'm offering.
Oh, good.
No. I'm offering a different form of mind control. I don't like it. I have used these abilities in the past in order to break other forms of mind control and give people back their minds as best I can. I don't know that it is a perfect science. I don't know what the ultimate results will be. And I have no guarantees. My only hope is that anything I can offer is better than what is already happening.
Perhaps, and I don't mean to take your offering lightly or dismiss it. Perhaps we should wait until to see if there are other options available to us. Mind control is something that makes me deeply uncomfortable.
Good. It should.
With that being said, I would not like to use it unless it is a last resort. It seems your talents might be more effective in helping those who have been freed, who have come from the city, in breaking the effects that are on them.
Good. Yes, I would be happy to reserve my powers for things that are much less iffy. If you can find other options for bringing people out, for getting large groups of people who are under the influence of essentially some kind of drug, then I don't want you to use my powers. I want you to use whatever is the best method. I will do anything I can to help you.
And this is where Emily stands up, and you can just kind of see her full might. She's wearing a vest shirt that shows her arms, and she has lean, strong muscle. Her hands are wrapped, and she just wears a pair of pants that are loosely fit and flowing. And as she steps towards you, you see that she doesn't wear any shoes at all, and her hair is held back in a braid that keeps it out of her face entirely. She comes up and she places a hand on your shoulder. It's gentle but firm, and she looks you right in the eyes and says in a quiet voice, "Leah, you will be helpful in this situation. I intend to make use of whatever aid you can give, and I thank you for your offering. These people's effects, it might be similar to that of a drug addiction. And if that's the case, I think you are uniquely placed to convince Eridu to open up and share with us how he was able to overcome his own addictions. That could be useful information."
Eridu had a drug addiction?
Oh shit! She don't know.
I don't think she knows.
She don't. She don't know that Eridu was on the Sapphire Dream. Fucking
That's right.
crazy.
And that's a great place to take a
Yeah,
break.
that's a great place to take a break. All right. Hey, thanks for joining us. Don't worry, there's going to be more. There's going to be a whole second half coming right to you after this break here. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.